A Swift Kick in the Ass, episode 21.
All big changes start with a swift kick in the ass. Join the journey of lifelong friends, John Curran and Tom Stewart, as they make conventional thought bend over and take a boot to the keister. Warning, listeners may notice a force equal to or greater than needed to get your ass moving. A swift kick in the ass. Living life on your terms.
Welcome, it's Tom Stewart, and I'm joined with my lifelong friend, John Curran, and today we're going to talk about a boot to the ass. We're bringing it back real. I know we've been doing a lot on the 48 Laws of Power, and we'll get back to that. We're going to finish all 48, but right now we want to get to something that's real and real meaningful for me and John, and that's a boot to the ass of getting started and getting shit done. John?
Yeah, absolutely. It is time to take the boot and stick it to the ass. Gosh, I don't think that came out right, but it's time to get going. You know, a lot of us talk about making change, and we do a lot of talking, and then nothing productive or nothing positive comes out of it. I know for myself personally, recently I just had a birthday, and I was able to take a nice long hike by myself, just me and my dog. So I'm alone with my thoughts and thinking about what I wanted to do in the next year or two. I'm going to turn 50 in 2 years.
Damn.
Less than 2 years.
Damn, man, you're old.
And yeah. Let's not get off subject here. But, you know, I like to think about goals and where I want to be when I'm 50. And really the top goal that I have is to become more healthy, to become fit. There was a time when I used to work out like a fiend, you know, work out like 6 times a week, and I had big arms, you know, and I had guns and a big chest, and I was looking good. My legs were skinny because I never worked out my legs. That's a whole nother story. But
well, I think we were both in that situation. I mean, I haven't lifted weights in quite a while, at least consistently. I lift here and there very rarely. I do jiu-jitsu, but that just doesn't do what weights can do for your body. And as you get older, you need that resistance training to, strengthen your bones. And the older you get, John, if you notice your waist gets a little bit bigger and your legs start shrinking. I think from sitting so long,
I just, to be quite blunt, I want to be able to see my dick. When your stomach gets too big, you gotta look over it, and I just don't want that to happen.
You just want it to look bigger. That's all.
They say it does. They say that when you have a beer gut, it pulls the skin away from there. And
well, hell, man, that should be motivation enough.
It is motivation, but here was my birthday a few weeks ago, and I'm thinking about getting in the shape. And what have I done? Nothing. I've done a lot of thinking about it. I hit the gym now maybe about once a month, and it's just not cutting it for me. I've got a wife. I have 3 children. I have, a full-time job with responsibilities, and it just does not happen for me. So I need this swift kick in the ass myself to get me going, and get me headed in the right direction.
No, I agree, man. What was it, a couple of weeks ago here on the show, I mentioned that I was going to try to, get in shape. And what have I done? Nothing. I'm not following my own advice. I've been maybe making strides in other parts of my life, but as far as training, it's coming up to Christmas, and it's, things are getting tight. I mean, we were running around. We got things to do with the kids. We got to take care of our parents, all kinds of stuff going on that detracts you from actually working out, and even getting to the jiu-jitsu gym. I just haven't been able to do it. And, it catches up to you real fast. So, we've made a commitment. At least I know what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take the commitment and go wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's the only way to make sure that I take care of myself first and not have any kind of distractions and get it done. Unfortunately, I am not a morning person. Never have been, probably never will be, but it's the only time that I really have.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person either. That has never, ever worked for me in my entire life. But right there with you. I haven't come to that conclusion just yet. I think I'm going to start doing push-ups and sit-ups at home, and taking the dog for walks more often. But I mean, here it is. It's almost winter time, and the weather's just crappy. It's just not good. It's not conducive to getting out and getting exercise. We all put on a little bit of winter weight, I think. But I'm ready to get back, get serious again, and I need to take concrete steps to make that happen. You're not going to get in shape just thinking about it. That's the secret. The secret is, in order to get in shape, you have to actually work out or exercise or do something physical. You can't just think your way, think fat away.
Doesn't
hey,
work.
we should write a book. It'd probably be just, to have the same results as another book. I won't mention the name.
Oh, you mean The Secret?
Yes, I mean The Secret. I read that book, and I think it there was a lot of good thought behind it. I know that the author made a lot of money. A lot of people, I think, believe in that. I believe in having positive thought, but there is a limit. You have to put action behind it. Thinking about things and mindset is very important, but it's only part of the picture. So today, Tom and I wanted to discuss two columns of our cornerstones, or two cornerstones of our program, and that is mind and body. And you have to start with your mind and follow it through with action, your body, to make positive change in your life. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. I know there are people out there feeling overwhelmed. They're feeling helpless. Maybe they feel a little bit out of control of their own life. I know I certainly do. I look at my responsibilities. I told you about that hike that I had a few weeks ago, and I remembered back around the time, before I had kids, of how simple my life was and how I made time to work out and how I felt like I knew where everything was. And I'll admit it, there are times where I feel overwhelmed, but you can't let those feelings stop you. You have to recognize that you feel the way you do for a reason. Emotions and feelings are a tool that we have to use, and it's up to us to recognize what those feelings are telling us. And we all own those feelings, and oftentimes when you kind of own up to that feeling and say, what, I do feel a bit overwhelmed, I'm disorganized, or I'm out of shape, or whatever's bothering you, only you can answer that, and only you can change that.
Hey, did you used to watch The Sopranos?
I've seen episodes, yeah.
Oh, that's not the same. You got to watch. You have to watch the entire series, man. There was one part where Tony Soprano, he's the mob boss. He's getting out of, he's always been out of shape, but he's getting older, and everyone's starting to kind of like doubt his leadership ability. And he's looking around at all the guys that he's with, and they're all kind of tough guys. And he has like this young new driver, and the guy's like built like a Mack truck and muscles, and he's just sitting there. And he hears everyone laughing, and he's like, what the hell, man? You could just see what's going on in his mind. And then he just goes off the handle and starts beating the shit out of the driver, right? For like no reason. Like he like blew something up out of proportion. Like the guy moved something in a refrigerator. Forget what it was, but he just beat the hell out of him. And the guy was going to come back and probably would have, started fighting back. But then everyone's like, no. Maybe that's the Don, man. You do that, you're dead. So
you take it.
Yeah. So, but he was exercising his authority. He's like kind of letting his pride get to him. But it was kind of that feeling, I think, that guys that maybe used to be athletic, and then they start to see younger guys come around. You're like, oh man, what the hell happened to me? Where, that used to be me, and now I'm sitting around and I feel like an old guy. People are calling me sir. When did it happen? I think life gets in between you. So it's never too late just to start doing something and get out there and take action. And that's what we're doing. I was talking with my wife Jen today, and I actually had to do the handshake and agree, because she's a morning person. So I've made the commitment and said, all right, tomorrow morning I'm getting up at 5 o'clock. I don't care if I just go sit on the bench and fall back to sleep. At least I'm out there.
So is she getting up with you?
She's already up. She's up at 4:30 every morning. She does CrossFit. She does 5 o'clock CrossFit every morning. So she's
probably just.
She does it.
Just see her.
She does it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then like Tuesday and Thursday. I don't know, are kind of her rest days. But
I can just see her shaking her head, yes, smiling and nodding.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, Tom, you're going to get up at 5 in the morning.
Oh no, she made me take a handshake on it. So, well, she's been feeling a little. She hasn't been training as much because she had injured her calf. So she's been feeling kind of down on herself. So she hasn't been eating as good as clean as she normally does. But that's that's a great point to bring up, Tom, about injuries. If you have been sitting around and not exercising and you're out of shape, don't try to be yourself in high school. Don't just jump into it and hurt yourself. Take the slow, cautious approach. And again, just like with your emotions and your feelings, listen to your body, because it's not worth pushing yourself over that point and injuring yourself. I've done that before. It's going to set you back. You're going to feel worse about yourself. No, you're absolutely right. It's probably about a month of easing into it and getting used to it, because your joints are just not going to be as strong as they used to. Your tendons, you got to build that back up. And sometimes you hold, they call it old man strength. You still retain a lot of the strength, but your tendons cannot offer your muscles the support. So you might be able to put some weight on the bench, and then you go to bench, and all of a sudden your like rotator cuff pops, and you're like, I don't know what happened. And that, so you got to be very careful. You got to work very light to kind of build back up
and stretch. That's where I think I'm going to start. I actually do stretch. I can't just sit around and, even when I'm watching TV, I'm, stretching out, and I'll do push-ups and use my own body weight to kind of work my way back into shape, at least before I hit the gym. But, this is a lot more, I know we're talking about mind and body, and they do go together. They really do go hand in hand. But, you can have the best mindset and not the, and you can have the best mindset and work through and be successful at it. Some people are able to do that. Some people can have a great mindset and do nothing and get nowhere. But there's also another aspect of mindset that's important, and that is when you tell yourself that you can't do something. I mean, so many of us defeat ourselves before we even try something. So we're not saying just jump into things blindly, whether it be with exercise or quitting smoking or, doing something healthy for yourself, doing something positive and creating positive self-growth. If you tell yourself you can't, you've already failed. So keep telling yourself that you can, and keep trying and keep working at it, because that persistence is eventually going to lead you to success. Don't tell yourself you can't before you have tried. We can justify anything. I could blame my kids for taking up my time and not being able to exercise. And pardon?
I said, damn rugrats.
Yeah, and that's not fair to the kids. It really isn't. They're just, that's a decision that you have to make for yourself, and then go do it. It's not really a question of priorities. I think you can still take care of yourself and take care of your family. In fact, when you start to take care of yourself, you're probably going to take better care of your family, because you're not going to be winded, walking out to the mailbox.
Is that what happens to you?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But I will say that my dog Phineas, as the vet said, he gained some winter weight. He should weigh about 45 or 50 pounds. He weighs I think he was almost 70. So I called him my big furry potato. He's a border collie mix. And over the summer, I took him to the dog park, where he can socialize and everything, and it was hot, and he was running around. And, man, I thought that dog was going to have a heart attack. He'd run a little bit, and he'd go, and I thought, okay, Phineas, you know what? You're going on a diet. So he's lost weight, and he's looking good, and I've noticed he's got a lot more energy from it. He loves to play, and he's only 5 years old, so he's much too young.
So your dog is your role model.
Yes, my dog is my role model. If he can do it,
yeah,
I can.
I used to have a chubby puppy. She was 130 pounds. She was a Labrador, but she did die of a heart attack. But she used to steal she has a brother, and she used to steal his food all the time. And he was super skinny, and now he's still around, and it's almost like he's glad she's gone. Now he gets to stay inside all day and eat, and no one bothers him. And before, he was like a scared little puppy.
Yeah, so making that decision, a simple decision of yes or no. Yes, I'm going to get back in shape. Set some time frames to it. Set a date and say, okay, I'm gonna start. And I've already, I've been kind of doing stretching, but I need to start doing push-ups or do something before I start hitting the gym. Tom, you're gonna wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow and go sit on your bench for starters.
Wait till Jen leaves for CrossFit and climb back into bed.
And then eat some cheese Danishes.
Do you remember MTV used to have this guy? He was laying in bed on his back, and he would always go, maybe tomorrow I'll start working out. And then he would sit there and he goes, and it will pass. It was just like short little clips in between the different commercials.
Well, I do remember that, but you have to take action, which again leads us to the body part, connecting thought to action and having a physical presence. In corporate America, the company that I worked for, they had this campaign to be there now. And if you're they're trying to change the culture and make people more proactive. But if you're trying to exercise or you're trying to do something, don't just talk about it. Do it. Be there and take action. Do something to get going, even if it's just a little baby step. If it moves you forward an inch, and that I'm thinking back at what I said about a big belly and men not being able to see downstairs. You'll move an inch.
All right, so that's our action step for our listeners, right? To take an act. If it's not working out, maybe you already work out. Maybe you're like, all right, I'm not going to listen to this episode because it has nothing to do with me. But if you're like the average majority of America, you probably don't work out, or you don't work out enough, or you don't eat healthy enough. There's something that you could always do a little bit better. So if there's something that you do want to change, make the commitment. The January 1st is coming up in a couple of weeks, and maybe get a head start on everyone. So when everyone's like, hey, what's your resolution? It's like, hey, I'm already there. I'm already kicking it, man.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, Tom, that you're absolutely right. This isn't just about exercise. A swift kick in the ass is about personal growth. So in my circumstance, and yours too, we feel that we need to be in better shape. We all have things that we know that we can do that will make us better in some way or improve our lives some way. You and I, Tom, have been on that exercise train for a long time, basically since we were teenagers. So we know what it takes to be. We know what it's like to be in shape. We've been there. I mean, I'm almost 50 years old, but I'm still not, I'm not grossly out of shape. I feel like I am, but if you look at someone else my age, chances are, they're probably worse off.
And a lot of that is from
my own horn. Sorry.
No, but it's from if you start young and you're athletic when you're young, and weight training is very, very effective, man. It's and not alone. You need to combine it with aerobic and anaerobic movements, but it does it lays a foundation for you, so it makes things a lot easier when you get older.
Yeah. So I'm not making any judgment calls on people. I mean, I'm just calling it from myself, saying it for myself that I feel out of shape. I need to do this, but I kind of fell off the train. I was in shape, and I fell off the train. Now I'm feeling out of shape. I think there are aspects of our lives that happens to us. We were probably doing really well in one area, and then we just stop thinking about it, stop doing it, and we take things for granted, and we fall off the train, and 10 years goes down the road, and here we are, in a different place, and we think, how the hell did I get here?
Life sneaks up on you like a ninja, man. Out of the blue. It really creeps up on you. It's just that we're so blind to it or not paying attention to it. I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, I'm okay. I don't need to, I've always been able to eat what I want. I can kind of get away with it. But just start.
So just to get out of the health aspect of this, I mean, think about people who perhaps feel like they're in a dead end job. And they hate their job. What are they doing about it? And what can they do about it? Probably, they probably have a lot more power over the situation than they think they do. They could go to school, get more training, go into a totally different field altogether. They could find another job. That takes you out of your comfort zone. It's uncomfortable, but they
can start a podcast.
They could start a podcast,
which we have more to talk about. We have a lot to discuss. Our next episode about podcasting, and usually, I know it doesn't seem like it has much to do with a swift kick in the ass, but it does, because it talks about something that me and John are doing, and an event that I just went to called Podcast Florida, which was pretty interesting. I want to talk about, but I figured we'd save it for part 2.
Yeah, it's this is about positive growth, and I think through this journey, I mean, if you think about this, Tom, we've been doing this now for over a year.
Yeah.
On my birthday last year, Tommy called me up and said, to wish me a happy birthday, and my father had passed, probably 6 months before, and he knew I had been writing, and I've been talking a lot about living life on your own terms and personal growth. It was important to me because my dad raised me to think that way. So I wanted to carry on the teachings of my dad, as well as what I've learned in my own life. I think that a lot of people could benefit from that. So here Tom calls me up for my birthday, and he says, "Hey John, we've had a lot of crazy business ideas in the past, and nothing has really kind of panned out. But not saying that this will turn into a business or anything, but you need to start writing a blog, and we need to start podcasting." And I'm like, the hell are we going to talk about? And you're like, all the stuff you've been talking to me about positive self-growth and living life on your own terms, and becoming your own person, and living life the way you see fit. I think we all want to do that. We all do that from different positions, and we start from different places. So here we are a year later, and we have our podcast, we have our blogs, we have the websites. We're still growing, and we're going to continue to grow because we plan on learning for our life, learning throughout our life. And when we die, we'll hopefully learn something else. We'll learn what happens.
So check us out for episode 21, because we're going to go more in depth to that story, because I have some input that I want to spew on and talk about the thought process behind the podcast and how you could start making change and make your escape plan from your work or 9 to 5 if that's what you want. If you want freedom, because that's what I want, and that's why I'm here. It's really about freedom, personal freedom from myself and from others. So,
and I think through this journey, Tom, and I know we're trying to wrap things up, so I'll make this short. I think what I've learned in the past year is that I'm an artist, and I've told that to my friends, and they chuckled at me. They laughed, and then they thought about it a little bit more, and they said, they took it back. They said, we all need a creative outlet. We all need to be able to express ourselves, and we all do that in different ways. You can certainly do that through podcasting. You can do it through blogging. You could do it through exercise. You could do it just being yourself, expressing who you are. We all do that in a different way.
We're all here for a reason, right? We all have a voice. We all have something to share that only the individual is capable of sharing. And you don't. There's a quote on the blog, and I'm not going to say it word for word, but basically it's don't die with the music still inside of you. So get started. That's what today's topic is.
And we'd love to hear from you. So please go to our website, swiftkickintheass.com, or leave us a note on iTunes or Stitcher. Just wherever you're hearing this podcast, leave us a note and tell us what you're doing and what you're interested in changing about your life. We hope that you come along with this journey with us, and we want to go along with you on your journey of positive change. I think the world is a better place when there are more smiling people and more happy people with
themselves. And if you really think that we're morons, just let us know that too, and we'll try our best to become better morons. Thanks for listening. This is Tom Stewart.
Thanks for listening. And John Curran. Catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to A Swift Kick in the Ass podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's content, and we ask you to please leave us a review in iTunes. Also, head over to aswiftkickintheass.com to get a free copy of the Simple Spelling Tool.